Greetings, fellow pirates. Duuz-Diz-Din back again with more One Piece. Last time, startling revelations abound as Dr. Vegapunk told a tale of the destruction of Ohara, relating it to Nico Robin and giving her some much-needed closure with the discovery that the will of Ohara lived on. As the Library of Ohara was burned down by the Buster Cult, the scholars in their last moment made sure that all the books survived in a nearby lake, untouched by fire, but definitely waterlogged. And years ago, when Dr. Vegapunk visited, sometime after the burning of Ohara, he saw Giant taking the books away. He was then met by Dragon, as both were colleagues, well, at least associate, of Professor Clover, Robin's mentor, come to pay the respect, with Dragon being incited to creating the Revolutionary Army as he was but a freedom fighter at the time, and Vegapunk having recently joined the Navy in order to gain the funds for the projects he wished to work on. He also revealed to Robin, without so many words, that the giant who had commanded the others to gather the books of Ohara and take them to Elbath was none other than Saul, bruised and battered, yet still alive, and waiting in Elbath. Vegapunk had visited and gained all the knowledge that the researchers of Ohara had gathered over time, all kept in his brain. All the information he gathered that the world government, years ago during the Void Century, had opposed the technologically advanced civilization, creating the world as we see it today. Meanwhile, Luffy's group has come upon a giant robot, but more importantly, they've come upon the true body of Dr. Vegapunk, loopy, and seemingly missing part of his head, with almost all our heroes except for Zora and Brook, who stayed on the ship, having met an aspect of Vegapunk. What other startling revelation will he show next? Join me as I find out, won't you? Nice. One Piece chapter 1067, Punk Records. Love it. Although that was at the top of the egg thing, the labophage or whatever it was called. And we have a showdown between Judge and Caesar. This isn't really the encounter I thought we were going to have. It's German Double Six's An Emotionless Excursion, Volume 24. What's your name again? Judge versus Caesar. Oh god. They're trying to decide whether or not they should be enemies or not. They pick up with Luffy's group as Bonnie shouts to Vegapunk, "What happened to your head? You're supposed to have a big, huge head like a light bulb." Vegapunk touches the top of his head with the weird apple top metal thing he has, where the rest of his head should be, and says, "Oh, I really let it grow too long, so I cut it." Bonnie shouts, "No, it's not like getting a haircut." Vegapunk explains, "About the time when I first met you, I was going to be the height of a giant before long." We see how his regular head should look, and yeah, I don't know how he would be able to support that weight. Jinbei says, "The stories always said you had a large head." This is the first I'm hearing that he had a large head. If there was any point where it was ever mentioned that he had a big head, I would have loved to have seen it. Bonnie says, "It was like a hot air balloon." Vegapunk says, "Well, you see, the truth is that I've got the brain. Had a bit of a malfunction, huh?" And he says, well, you see, the truth is I've got the brain fruit, so I'm a brain man. Oh, a devil fruit. I can store all kinds of knowledge without limits of any kind, and my brain physically grows to accommodate the amount of data it holds. It gives my preternaturally gifted mind an infinite data bank." Okay, is that how he was able to split up his mind? "And thanks to that, I have the world's largest brain, which continues growing to this day." Ugh, that's kinda gross. How big is it by now? Luffy says, "To this day. Where is it?" I guess he's done playing with the hover function on the Dom shoes. Chopper says, "That's amazing. Are you good at medicine too, Dr. Vegapunk?" He says, "Of course. Don't you know anything about science?" I'm sorry. Weird reference. And Chopper goes, "Ooh." Luffy says, "If you cut your head down, does that mean you're dumb now?" Vegapunk's taken off guard, saying, "Do not trifle with a genius, my boy. This apple top is an antenna. Witness the tippy top of the island. On the underside of that massive eggshell, it says Punk Record. That is the storage space for my brain." Luffy shocked, saying, "What? That seems too big." Yeah, he's not kidding. That entire thing houses his brain? Ugh. I mean, is there a limit to how much knowledge he can gain? And it's probably, hopefully, it'd probably be a good thing that he doesn't live too long. But because at some point, his brain might be the entire island itself. Vegapunk says, thanks to this antenna, I can connect to it with brainwaves. Even at this distance, there's no issue at all. Well, you seem to have a bit of a connectivity issue before. Not to mention, how much distance can you gain before you have issues with just that antenna? Vegapunk explains, earlier I believe you met a young girl calling herself Vegapunk. That was one of my clone offshoots. There are 6 of them on this island. Clones? Huh. They seem mechanical too, so they're like cyborg clones, huh? Luffy says, are you a ninja? No, Luffy, it's not shadow clones. Vegapunk explains, each of them is an experiment in one of my necessary facets. All 6 of them together possess one complete copy of my personality, but they can do 6 times as much. Luffy says, what does that mean? Science mumbo jumbo. Vegapunk explains, once every day, they synchronize their experiences and knowledge with punk records. Because their personalities and duties are distinct, each one's experiences are worthwhile and unique. So number 1, Shaka the good. 2, Lilith the evil. 3, Edison the thinker. 4, Pythagoras the wise. 5, Atlas the violent. 6, York the greedy. Luffy is confused. I do not blame him. Even Jinbei seems taken aback by the sheer volume of this, saying, and they all use the same brain? This world of science just goes right over my head. Vegapunk goes on saying, think of it like using the same library. If everyone in the world had this ability to access my brain, then all of humanity would essentially share my intelligence. To take it one step further, if all of humanity could mutually update punk records on a regular basis, we could create an entire sea of knowledge that far surpasses even my vast intellect. One day, humanity will be able to share a brain. So Vegapunk believes in knowledge for all, the growth of humanity as a whole. Chopper says, would I be able to study medical knowledge from all over the world? Vegapunk says, but of course! And Chopper is just over the moon. Jinbei says, won't you have issues if ideology gets inserted on top of everything else? Vegapunk laughs, saying, well, Jinbei, first son of the sea, that's a very smart question to be asking. But science will never advance if you spend all of your time worrying about it. P. Uh-oh. Bonnie's going in for the strike, saying, as she goes for the beam sword, it says, but that's just your problem, isn't it, Vegapunk? Your endless quest for scientific knowledge will spare no one in its greed, including my father, who you turned into a mindless weapon of war. Bonnie holds Vegapunk at beam sword point, as Vegapunk says, no, Bonnie, the beam saber was a failure. But she shouts, hold your tongue, it works fine when I tested it. Now turn my father back to normal. And if you refuse, Jinbei says, think carefully, Bonnie. If you kill him, you'll be making a very powerful enemy. Vegapunk says, switch it off now, Bonnie. The light from the beam is going to attract an enormous cloud of insects. And we see a whole bunch of beetles. Oh, jeez. I hate that. If you're in an area like outdoors and you turn on any source of light, insects just swarm it. It's worse. And as all of the bugs start swarming her, Bonnie freaks out. Next thing you know, she's on the ground foaming at the mouth. Either she just doesn't like bugs in general, or it's just the sheer volume of them that took her off guard. But, well, Bonnie's got down for the count. Sorry, Bonnie. Although Luffy is just like, Bonnie, check it out, stag beetle. While Chopper says, forget the stag beetle, try being concerned about her passing out. Although Vegapunk's off sulking in the corner saying, I can't blame her. Can't blame Bonnie for wanting to kill me. It's a good thing the weapon she grabbed happened to be a failure. Oh, speaking of which, I understand that you folks were recently in Wano. Is it true that there was a second dragon in addition to Kaido? Luffy says, yeah, that was Momo. Vegapunk says, then he must have eaten that failed devil fruit that I left behind in Punk Hazard. Luffy questions, really? Wait, a failure? Vegapunk explains, that was my attempt to grow a man-made devil fruit. I spent 20 years and an exorbitant research budget working from Kaido's bloodline element. Okay, that was a pretty penny, huh? But the fruit just didn't have the same qualities. Luffy says, oh, so that's why he looked like Kaido. It was a success, man. He was big and strong, breathing fire and everything. He's the guardian deity of Wano now. And you made that happen. Amazing. But then Vegapunk says, but what color is he? Luffy says pink, and Vegapunk just starts smashing his head into the ground saying, I told you, it's a failure, that was the thing a lot of us guess. It's just like, if this is what he considers to be a failure, he's a perfectionist to a ridiculous degree. As Luffy says, oh, who cares about that? And Jinbei says, great. He's a genius with a perfectionist streak. Luffy climbs atop the giant ancient robot and says, what about this robot then? Did you build this too? Make it move! Vegapunk explains, no, I did not. This is the legendary Iron Giant, excuse me? Superman, you stay, I go. Oh man, I don't think I can do it as good as the real deal. This is the legendary Iron Giant that is said to have attacked sacred Mary Joa about 200 years ago. Wait, 200 years ago? Luffy says, what? 200 years ago? I just said that. But Vegapunk says, but it was actually built 900 years ago. Luffy says, are you joking? Vegapunk explains, its goal was never understood. They say that there was no damage only because it ran out of energy. No doubt the scientists at the time were utterly shocked by the event. The sheer scientific power was beyond anything they could comprehend. No one knows where it came from or what it was trying to do. I do wonder. It woke up temporarily and climbed to Mary Joa? Was it trying to continue a battle from way back when? The world government ordered it to be torn down and destroyed. But curiosity prevented the scientists from carrying out the orders. Jinbei observes the giant as Vegapunk continues saying, so it still rests here, and the government is none the wiser. I'm impressed that you found your way here. The route from the town should have looked like an impossible wall. Luffy says, I don't know, we were in a rush and we got all discombobulated. Chopper says, yeah, we just wandered here. We were whatever he said. Vegapunk says, well, I'm sorry to hear that. And we see the rest of the Straw Hats, minus Zoro and Brook, observing with Shaka the Good all of this from a control panel. So basically they heard everything that the regular Vegapunk said. Robin says 200 years ago. That was the year when fishman discrimination became a big issue. Frankie says, so you're saying that robot climbed its way up the red line? Shaka says, most likely, yeah. I built the Vega Force 1 using that robot as a guide. Okay. A lot of people did say it looks similar. But these are aspects of it that even my scientific power is unable to recreate. It is hard to believe that this mechanical soldier was built 900 years ago. Frankie questions, what can't you recreate about it? Shaka says, it's dynamic power source. In the past, they've had a power strong enough to rewrite everything we know about the world today. Wonder what it was. Nami questions, well, it's good to know that Luffy, Chopper, and Jinbei are alright, but who's that girl? Usopp says, that's Julie Bonnie, the pirate. Sanji says, but I thought it was just a little girl who got shipwrecked. I guess this is the reason why Zoro stayed on the ship, so he couldn't have identified what Bonnie's abilities are. I have to assume that'll come into play in some other way later on. I guess it's Usopp saying, and look at Vegapunk's head now. Wow. Meanwhile, with Luffy's group, Vegapunk says, I feel bad about what I did to Bonnie. As Luffy says, yeah, you should. Get down and beg forgiveness. And Vegapunk says, oh, what would you know about it? And as he looks at the passed out Bonnie, he says, there is something I need to give her. By the way, Straw Hat Luffy, I feel that fate was at work bringing you here to me today. Will you take me off of Egghead? I wonder if that's a good idea. Another escort mission for the Straw Hats, though. We pick up in the waters around Egghead, where the Cypher Pole Zero seems to have taken down several of the cyborg sea beasts, as someone radios to the island saying, this is Cypher Pole, requesting permission to dock at Egghead. And someone on the ship says, badly trained pet. Is that Stussy's mask? I don't know if I like it that much. I love how Hattori is wearing a mask too, and Kaku's mask looks like an old man's. They got the correct coloring for the Kuma Seraphim. Well, his hair specifically. Rob Lucci tells everyone on the boat, saying, "We have eyewitness reports of Jewelry Bonnie sailing to Egghead. An obnoxious woman with Oliver escaped. I believe we were finished with her already. So if we see her, we'll disappear her for good." Finished with her? Huh, okay. We never did find out why Akainu wanted to make sure Jewelry Bonnie was locked down. Was it simply for Kuma, or was it something else? Pythagoras goes rolling up to Shaka and Lilith saying, "Shaka, government ship! It's going to be hard to explain the pirates. For some reason, CP0 is on board. It's Lucci." Lilith says, "So we'll just hand them over. Rob Lucci's an assassin, right?" Usopp freaks out saying, "What? Rob Lucci? Come on! Set my legs free so I can escape!" Nami says, "No, I hate that guy. He's still working at that job. Don't let him on the island." As Sanji calls over to Robin saying, "There's nothing to worry about, Robin. I'll protect you as many times as I need to." While Shaka says, "Reply to the ship. Tell it to unload the Seraphim and leave." Pythagoras says, "Huh?" Shaka says, "Prepare to fight back. We are refusing entry to the world government." He probably already knows. It's just like, nah, if we let them in, they're gonna try to kill me. He's just like, yeah, no. Meanwhile, at the Kamabaka Queendom in the Grand Line, Lindbergh calls out, "Dragon, Kuma's acting strange. Stop, Kuma, wait, we're still repairing you." And we see Kuma with all these tubes and hoses sticking out, just breaking free of all of it. The revolutionaries call out, Kuma? What happened? Does the Navy still have control over him?" Koala calls out, "Where are you going, Kuma? He shouldn't be fully mobile yet. He's not supposed to have a will of his own anymore." As Kuma just takes off running, carrying all this equipment behind him. He hits the ground and gets up and runs again, hits the ground and gets up. The revolutionaries call out, "What's going on? I don't know. Kuma, come back." Dragon calls out, and the most passionate we've ever seen Dragon, saying, "What's wrong with you, Kuma? Where are you going?" As Ivankov says, "You have to stay here. We're only getting started. This is where our revolution really begins." That's the end of the chapter. See, with everything we've gotten from Vegapunk, I'm starting to feel that maybe he also managed to transfer Kuma's mind to some degree. So while his shell has been running around, Kuma's mind has still been in there. It hasn't been in there. It's been someplace else, essentially. Because if Vegapunk could do that with his own mind, why not Kuma? And what did the world government want with Bonnie? And I wonder what's going on with the Sorbet Kingdom. There's a lot of questions here. And Shaka, I wonder, has he been trying to assess whether or not the Straw Hats would help him out? And that's why he ultimately decides just like, yeah, you know what, maybe I might be able to live after all. I mean, with a force like this, it's possible. You have all the Straw Hats on the island. I'd be more worried if more members of CP0 had arrived. But, it's Lucy, Stussy, Kaku. They're strong. Don't get me wrong, but there's numbers, and who knows? And I really am wondering. I really don't think Kuma is completely gone. There's something more to what's been going on here on Egghead, and with Vegapunk. And the fact that Kuma has just awoken the way he did. What's calling to him? I'm ready for this mystery to be answered. This has been a long-standing question of why did Kuma allow all of this? Yet Vegapunk still allowed him to help the Straw Hat. Well, let me know your thoughts and theories in the comment section below. Also remember to like, subscribe, bell, all that good YouTube stuff. Or don't, I ain't your daddy, but I still love you like one. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and I hope to see you in the next video. Till then, bye-bye.